my friend?
Yay, good. How are you? 111.
111. And I got to tell you, when you're holding that thing, to me, that looks like one of two things. Either the flags at Six Flags.
Yes.
Or the smokestacks from the Titanic. And let's hope this episode is not like the Titanic's end voyage, okay?
No, it won't be. We got some good stuff coming up.
We got a guest coming on that even if we suck, she's going to take us.
She'll save it.
Yeah, exactly. She'll bring us into safe harbor because Lisa's that great.
Yes, she is.
All right. So what's happening, my friend? How you doing?
I'm good. I had a great Father's Day. Called all the fathers in my family. There are many. And yeah, so we had fun. Sarah was with her dad, and she saw his dad. They were up north. So
nice. Now, when she travels up north, how's she get up there? She fly, drive?
Yeah,
Does she fly? She has no problems flying, all that?
No, she's always flown because her father's from Ireland, so she's used to flying from Ireland. He's from Ireland. They still have their home from when he was a kid over there. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, our Father's Day was pretty good too. Dad had a nice Father's Day. Oddly enough, he got a lovely message he couldn't stop bragging about from you.
Yay!
He said that him and you were going back. And he goes, Stacy sent me a little message. Look what she sent me. I said, isn't that nice, Dad?
Hey, I was going to ask. I'm so glad. Yeah, it was so. I just love him to bits. I could just pinch him. So
that makes two of us.
Yeah, no, he's just adorable. And so whenever you finally gave me his number, I'm like, yay! So now I can check in on him every now and again.
Yeah, he's good. He really is good. We had a nice day. It wasn't. Nothing got carried away. It wasn't intense. It was just a nice. He's still at the end stages of the recovery, from everything. But he's a bugger. He's still out in the yard working 4 or 5 hours a day, putting around. That's his thing. He really, really loves it. He's got his energy back, which is great. Of course, not this week. This week it's going to be in the upper 90s.
I know, it's hot. You guys are getting clobbered. Yeah.
I mean, Tarzan couldn't take this heat. Okay.
Right. It's on the news down here, so it's
right. So if it's in the news in Clarksville, it's hot.
It's hot, yeah.
It's really hot. So all right, let's see what's going on. Episode 111. What was happening, Stacy, in the year 2011?
2011.
Yes.
So the voiceovers, which I always love, because sometimes you hear a voice in a movie, you're like, I know that voice, and it's like, oh, you're trying to place it. Not that it wouldn't be hard to place Sly's voice, but Zookeeper. Over there in the bottom, you see the lion, and he played Joe the lion. Here's another picture of him. That was back in 2011. Now, we wanted to put up the video and the link, but YouTube will take it down. But this is what you'll see. I'm going to put the link up here in a moment, but it is, what is it, like a 2-minute video that shows him and Cher. So
now, everybody, I want you to look at this picture.
Yeah.
That's Cher.
It is.
But it could almost be like J-Lo. Well, it's not J-Lo's nose, but J-Lo has the earrings and the hat like that, and all that.
And the sunglasses.
Yes. So anyways, just seeing like Cher and Sly in this, because, Cher's mother was very good friends with Jackie Stallone, from what I remember. They had known each other back in the day, and Cher knew Sly back in the day.
Yeah.
And she had always talked very highly about Cher. And of course, Cher, Stacy, as you know, was one of the main considerations
for Adrian, which is crazy to think. Yes.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something. I think Cher would have been a fine Adrian, because we never would have had Talia Shire to compare it to. All we would have known was that.
Right.
Now, could I see Bette Midler? No. Susan Sarandon came in. Susan Sarandon, in my opinion, far too gorgeous for an Adrian. And I don't mean that
to be mousy. Yeah.
No, because Talia, like when you see, I think one of the most beautiful women on the planet, Talia Shire, especially in Godfather 1. My God, with the black hair, the big eyes, gorgeous. And she's gorgeous as Adrian. Watch when Rocky takes the glasses and the hat off. I mean, and they tell you Shia's got the flu in that moment, and she's still gorgeous. Oh my God, vulnerable. That's one of the sexiest things is vulnerability. So, and anyways,
so the link when you go into YouTube, let me just pull it up here. The title is Sylvester Stallone, Joe the Lion, and Cher, Janet the Lioness. So that's what you're looking for. That is the link. But if you just type in voiceover Stallone, Zookeeper, it'll come up. But it's so cool to watch the side by side, with the lion and them talking. So anyway, that is them. Now, last week was episode 110. And our episode 10 guest was Raminder. And so when we recorded and with the time difference in India, by the time I got his video, we had already uploaded. So I just wanted to rewind just for a moment. Raminder sent us exactly a 60-second video just updating us on his life. And he's all dressed up in his Rocky Files gear. Here he is.
Hi, Rocky Files. Congratulations on completing 110 episodes, and since I am episode number 10, I thought to share a quick update. Well, I'm living life one step, one punch, one round at a time. Quick shout out, what you see, these are the gifts by my wonderful, wonderful Rocky Files people. Shout out to Melissa, Rick, and of course Stacy. With the podcast, I've grown more emotional. I'm more emotionally involved with the people. Stacy, especially Stacy, she's a wonderful, wonderful friend, and she's an absolute gem. And I got my copy as soon as it was available on Amazon India. I love it. I'm more emotional when I read it because I know Mike and I play Philadelphia music in the background, and I absolutely, absolutely love the book, and I keep on reading it whenever I have time. Thank you so much for everything that you guys have given. Thank you so much for creating this Rocky bubble. Love you guys.
Love you right back, Raminder.
That's sweet. He reads your book with Philadelphia Morning playing in the background. I'm like, what a great idea. That adds that mood to all those stories. I love that. That's a great idea.
That's great. That's a great idea. I'll have to try to see. I've been rereading Cue the Rocky Music myself because I'm working on writing stuff, and no one's ever going to see it. It's just going to stay on the computer files or whatever. The most it's going to see is it's going to get printed out on my printer over there and collect dust. But it's sometimes you get you forget, like, what am I doing this? And then you go and you read some stuff that you did in the past, and you're like,
not bad.
That doesn't suck. Not bad. There's something there. You've got some skill. So you got to keep harnessing that. And so I want to really thank Raminder for that. And again, that just shows me right there. It just shows me how you, my dear friend, are the heart of the Rocky File.
Oh.
You are the one that reaches out. You're the one that keeps everything circulating. You are the Tasmanian devil of the Rocky File. It's just going around. Like, that's you. When you're working on all this stuff, your elbow, wrist, ankle, kneecap, earlobe, you're shooting out of this tumultuous tornado. That's you, Stacy.
Thank you.
I tell everybody on the, I've been getting a lot of people on tours lately. They've been talking about watching the files and talking about us, and I'm like, you guys understand who the queen is. I said, I'm just
the queen. Wow,
the queen. I'm just the court jester, man. That's it. I bring some stories. I acknowledge that. I said, I said, Stacey, she's it, man. She's the Ripley from Aliens. She's the Ripley of the group. She takes it down, man. Anyways,
well, the people I've met are the people I wish I had had my whole life. So it's very personal. Everyone, Raminder, and everyone I've connected with. It's a very personal connection as well. So
totally
it's like, it's not work. It's just
yeah.
So, and speaking of someone we love to pieces, our Jess Morelli had some news, and it was so funny. So here she is.
And I missed this. I couldn't believe it.
Right. So here's Jess Morelli.
She's one of my favorite people on the planet.
Episode 56. She just got married to this handsome gentleman right here not too long ago. It's not quite a year ago, right? It's 6-8 months ago, something like that. My math is probably wrong, but her last name is Lumia now. So she posts this with her dogs, and all I see is the dogs, and it says pissed and happy. I'm like, oh, why is one pissed and why is one happy? Finally, I look down at the frame, and what does it say? Baby Lumia due December 2024. So you guys, Mr. and Mrs. Lumia, congratulations. We are so excited. Another Rocky baby in the bubble. This will be what we have: Michelangelo,
right?
And we have Marciano,
right?
And then Mikey G's daughter Jordan. Oh,
Brooklyn
and Jordan.
Yes,
they were born. So Jordan was born during our time. So and now we have baby Lumia. As soon as we know if it's a boy or a girl and names, just please share with us. We cannot wait to see this little.
Cannot wait. I'm sorry, I didn't comment on that. I saw that picture and I just saw the dog sitting there.
Right.
I did not zoom in. I apologize for that.
So congratulations. Let's see. And then our guests from last episode, we had the Rocky Bros on, Nick and Rick. And Nick sends me this screenshot. They got a comment. Like sometimes Sly will comment, hey, keep punching. It's a one-liner or one word or gives you a thumbs up. He gave them a whole paragraph. Nick did a post about how Rick and Nick discovered that they were both Rocky fans.
Was it a video that we did from the podcast, or did they talk about it differently?
They talked. It was a separate post, and Nick was talking about how that Rocky 3 magazine. Okay. Right. And so they each had one. And so they were like, wait, you're a Rocky fan? Oh, you're a Rocky fan? So that's how they like really got tight, because they both had that magazine. So Nick was just telling that story on this post. And then, so this is what they get from official Sly Stallone. It was so awesome. He says, thank you guys. That's a fascinating story. It's quite fascinating how these little things that unexpectedly jump into our path at a particular moment. I call those crossroad moments, and that almost seem to be preordained. It's just a wonderful gathering of coincidences that create a path that you follow for perhaps the rest of your life. Always expect the unexpected and you'll never be disappointed. Keep punching, guys. So, wow, just congratulations. Any acknowledgement from him. I mean, we all just want to do cartwheels. That's
that's
awesome.
Thing. That's a big deal. And to get that acknowledgement it's a wonderful feeling, but it's also you sit back and there's little nuggets of wisdom there, and always expect the unexpected. Which is true.
It's so true. Yes. It's so true. Some of the things that have just popped into my life out of left field, you're like, oh my gosh. Sometimes it's like, man, if I knew that was coming, you'd have been able to tolerate something else a little bit easier if you knew that little nugget was coming. Yeah. Oh, goodness. But that's what makes it so much more exciting, I guess, right?
Right. Totally.
So let's see. Now you shot this video. I'm going to show this, and then let me bring that up.
Yeah. So I was terrified there was nothing to talk about today. So I was like, what am I going to do? Wait, I just got some on eBay. Maybe that'll take up 12 seconds.
Hang on. Here it is.
Hi, Stacy and everybody on the Rocky Files. It's me, your favorite co-host. Well, second favorite next to Stacy. Anyways, I got a new collectible this week that I'm really excited about. Do you guys remember when Rocky comes into the apartment and he puts on the record player? Have a look. Now, it isn't exact. Oh, let me get the cigarettes out of there. It isn't exact, okay? Because the original didn't have these knobs and it was more red-black. But I've been looking for probably, I don't know, 25 years for something this close. And this is the closest I've been able to find for like $40. Anyways, it's the original cord, and you'll see the Fanola. Now, I believe the one in the movie had a different kind of a print on it, but I've got to now find a place somewhere to put it down here. I don't know where. Maybe you guys can suggest somewhere. Keep punching.
That's cool. Wow.
It is. I've been after that for a very, very long time. And I thought maybe trying to find vintage fabric from back then, but it's close enough where I get the gist of it. You know, it's fine. But the ones that work, I have found one that was very accurate. But the problem was it was $400, and I'm not putting that kind of money into it. $400.
Yeah, that's pricey. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a digital guy. I like my iTunes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go play 45s. I have a few, but no, I'm good. But anyways, that's the brand. So you guys, if you are scavenger warriors for props, keep an eye out. You never know what you're gonna find.
Hey, do you hear that?
Oh my God. I thought we were out of here. We have a guest today, don't we?
We have a guest today returning from episode 16. I want to send everybody back to episode 16 to listen to her story, because what she's endured is uncommon, and she has shown uncommon strength through that, and what she's done with it since then has been an inspiration to so many. So Lisa Bradshaw, my darling, thank you for coming back to us. Welcome back. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You know, it's so great to see your face again. And we get to connect with a lot of Rocky fans, and you know, Stacy does a lot of it. I don't get to connect as much as I like to, but you know, Lisa, you're one of the people that I have really been able to stay in touch with over the last couple of years. And I feel like you and I have built up a decent friendship over this. And you're one of the most intelligent, kindest people I've had the pleasure of getting to know, and not to mention one of the biggest Rocky fans. How are you? And what have you been up to?
Well, thanks for having me back, first of all, and ditto to you. I stay in touch with both you and Stacy, and Mike, you and I get to message back and forth, and I appreciate the friendship. We met a couple years ago on tour, right? And when I was on tour out there, and I'm back. So what am I up to? Well, I'm working on a couple things behind the scenes that I haven't yet launched. I ended up touring the tour that I met you on. I ended up traveling 23 states over 3 different tours. I added it up today. It's like 10,400 and something miles. Interviewing people about their don't wait stories. Most of them have overcome some hardship, been through some hard stuff, and are making good in their corner of the world. Not really in spite of it. I think because of it, because of the things they've been through. Yeah. And I know that that's what so many of your viewers and listeners are all about, because that's what Rocky's all about. And that's why we're so tight, right? That's why this bubble's so tight.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It's the perseverance angle of it. I mean, to me, you're the definition of perseverance. And I know Stacy would agree.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Well, I reached out to you, Stacy, about coming back on the show because I'm a public person with a public job. And I know at some point someone's going to ask me to talk about losing my dad, which just happened in December. And I don't have to do that. I don't have to answer any questions or talk about it if I don't want to. But that would kind of go against that whole get back up when you get knocked down thing. And so I thought, what better place to be vulnerable and be willing to talk about the last 6 months in some detail than to come here and talk to you both. And the people who watch you and listen to you care a lot about you as well. And of course, Sylvester Stallone and Rocky. And my dad took me to see Rocky, the first movie, when I was 5.
Yeah. And
that's the first time I remember sitting in a theater and wanting to watch the credits and him kind of saying, we gotta go. And we can't go. And he let me sit there. And I've told Mike this before, that didn't happen for me again until Good Will Hunting. And so
isn't that something?
That movie was a huge impact for me too. But sitting there as a 5-year-old, just trying to understand what I just watched, and then learning so much more about Sylvester Stallone's story as Rocky 2 and 3 came out, and I'd see whatever my dad was reading in the paper or watching whatever he saw in the news about it, because it wasn't like today where we can just get all the information we want about a movie release or the behind the scenes. So I was getting a lot of whatever news my dad was consuming. And it's had a huge impact on me.
You know, that's the thing I want to talk about a little bit here, because this is very, very interesting to me. So 2 things. One, what do you think it was about your dad that he knew at 5 years old to take untraditionally his daughter to see a boxing movie at the time. We know people didn't understand it was a love story at that time. What do you think it was that he knew there was something about you that might gravitate towards that?
Well, he took my brother and me both. It was a Sunday. My mom was at work. She worked in retail back then. And well, for one, my dad was just a good dad. He took us to do stuff. He exposed us to cool things. We were athletes. I was a writer. He was a writer. I am a writer. So I think he just knew a good movie was coming out, and it was a way to take his kids to do that. And and just, I'm sure he'd read about it coming out, things that I hadn't read, as a 5-year-old. But what was really funny is just thinking, I had forgotten. My brother reminded me that Dad had taken us on that day and that Mom wasn't there. And my parents were married 55 years when my dad passed away in December, and they were together since my mom was 16 and he was 18. And so they didn't really go a lot of places without each other. But he took us that day and let me sit there in the seats a little extra. My dad's not the most patient man who's going to just sit there and wait, but he did. And, he knows all about U2 and this show and this brick I got.
Look at that.
Nice.
From Mike there when all this went down. Such good outreach from both of you, just being supportive, but also giving me space. I just so respect your approach to how you engage with the people who follow and respect you. And so, I can just say my dad was a good dad. He knew, my brother talked about it, how, he was 20 years old when he had my brother. And he said there was no parenting book or guide. He just went by instincts, and it was just all love. Always love.
See, that's the thing that just blows my mind, Lisa. The intuition and instinct that your pops had, that to me is absolutely brilliant. Now, you said something else which just, of course, spun off in my head. Stacy, I'm pretty sure you know this, and Lisa, I'm sure you know this. Of course, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were inspired by Rocky. Obviously the movie, but more so the screenplay. This is what it got them to write Good Will Hunting. That was the blueprint in their minds. Oh, what if we could do what Stallone did? Unknowns who put their passions pen to paper. Okay. And so now you say that, and then it hits you. You see, you are this type of extreme intellect with the writing and the awareness. This is something I find, I didn't know this about you, Lisa. We've had several conversations over the last couple of years. I did not know, or if I did, I forgot. And that's maybe more likely to because I tend to forget when I go from one room to the other, what I went to the room for. So what is it about Good Will Hunting? Because that's sort of Rocky centric that got you hooked again.
Well, the writing your own ticket thing and just, nose to the grindstone. And you really only have to have, and that's part of why I wanted to come on here today. And there are people watching and listening to this who've been through hard things, just like I've been through and other people have been through. And maybe they just lost a parent. I lost my husband 20 years and 2 months ago. And it turns out the only thing to ease the grief of losing my husband is losing my father, because there's just no room for both. And I realized that I have grieved Wesley, my late husband, in some capacity every day for 20 years. And now, like, the man who I chose to spend my life with and the man who taught me how to choose who to spend my life with,
oh my God,
are both gone. And that's heavy for me. And so I think about stories like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck paying attention to what was happening and what happened in their industry. And you only need one person to inspire you to do something great. One, that's it. And for them, I'm guessing there were others, but one of them was Sylvester Stallone and making Rocky. And so I'm here because you only need one person to help you get through something that's really hard, who maybe has been through it before. And so for me to not come here and at some point be willing to share this really, really hard thing would go against every single thing I'm about.
Yeah.
And so I think when I think about things like what they achieve with Good Will Hunting, it is a big scale of a dream. You know, it's an Oscar award-winning film.
Yeah.
As Rocky is. But it's kind of like I've given a TED talk, and you don't have to stand on that red circle to share your story. You're just living your story. And so you're sharing it by living it. And you're an example or you're a warning. So I think that movies like that are examples of how we can live, how we can hope, how we can dream, how we can hopefully hand that off to somebody else and be an inspiration to the next person. You know, I know they've done that in their jobs and in their industry. I'm trying to do it. Mike and Stacy, you're trying to do it. I just think that's what it's about. And that's love too.
Stacy, if the Rocky philosophy was cognizant, if it was self-aware, I am fully in complete belief it would hand the torch to Lisa and say, yeah, that's it. That's it. You keep going when it is the worst. That is when you're down and you want to be in the fetal position. Yes, you're going to be in the fetal position and you're going to stay there. But then at some point you say to yourself, you know what? I can stay here for probably another couple of months, or I can get up and I can start to move forward. And I know to a lot of people who may be sitting there watching this right now, they'll say, oh God, Mike, that's a little cliche. But you know what the thing about cliches are? That they've been around a long time because they're true.
Right.
The early bird gets the worm, right? I mean, it's true. And I really do believe the older I get, the more things I encounter, the more people I talk to, like Lisa and others, it is very much about perseverance. What do you think, Stacy?
Sometimes when people are going through a plethora of emotions, they don't know how to sort it all out. They don't know how to organize it. Like, why am I feeling? Your ability to name the emotion and why you're feeling that way and sort of organizing just what you said. I didn't have room for it. I didn't have room for both. And I realized I was grieving Wesley in some way every single day. I'm just so impressed by your ability to name and organize your emotions. And that gives you sort of this oversight. I'm really at a loss for words because I'm hoping that makes sense, because sometimes people are just going through this whirlwind and they're just lashing out and they don't understand. And you seem to really understand what you're going through and why and how it's all connected together. A lot of people
why I have absolutely no idea about, to be honest. You know, when I had cancer, I was 24 years old and I felt like I knew that there was some big lessons I was supposed to learn. My hope was that I would only go through cancer one time, that there wouldn't be a recurrence, and I'd live a long life. And it's been almost 28 years and I'm still going strong. And so for me, I thought I'm really going to pay attention to these lessons so I can learn them now and not do a half effort, give a whole effort. And when Wesley died, our son was 5. It was the greatest motivator to get up, get out of bed, keep the day going. And here's the thing. I'm only going to lose my dad once.
Yeah.
So I have one opportunity to learn not only from the loss of him, but to now have a greater understanding of everything about him as that applies to me. So how do I do this? I was raised as an optimist, glass half full, can't say I can't. And I mean that. We were not allowed to say I can't. My dad was always a solution-based man. And so when I was sick or when Wesley died, and he would tell me, you will get through this. You will get through this. I mean, there were times that he held my face in his hands and just cried me through it. And I don't know how long it took him to believe that I would really get through it, especially when I was sick. That had to be his most terrifying time in his life. But him saying it to me made me believe it. And so to think about how many things he's gotten me through over the years. Really, really hard stuff in my corner. He's in my corner. Who would I be without that? And so how do I dismiss that part of him when I need it the most? So how do I know this? Because I was taught it. Because I remember my dad saying, my father didn't talk with me like this. He didn't have conversations with me like this. The greatest lessons I learned were often because he took the time to explain them to me. And so he said, I want to do better than my dad did. My grandpa was a wonderful man, but he was not super communicative. And my dad was communicative. And so he wanted to do better than his dad, and he did. And so I am just a piece of that. I am the result of that. You could have a very interesting conversation with my brother, with my son, with my brother's children, because we come from Mick and Carmen, and that's just how we lived our lives.
Right.
That's how we were raised.
So, all right, I have two things I got to say. So, one, I know my mother and father are listening to this right now saying,
Hi.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're saying that's what we try to do with Mike and Jason. Your mom and dad sound like my mom and dad.
Yeah.
Very much so. Very much so. I really see that. I mean, it's incredible. And number two, your brother. What's your brother's name?
Vance.
Vance. Is Vance a Rocky fan?
He's a Rocky fan. He's a really cool guy. He's
Stacey, book him.
I was just going to say, I'm like,
get him in here. I want to talk.
Already written it down.
Good. I want to
already
talk.
Wrote it. Yeah.
He's not as public as I am. That's for sure.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
but he's got great kids, and he's built a beautiful life himself, and he's got a great relationship with my son. I have a great relationship with his kids. We were all just here. We just had my dad's service and golf tournament 2 weeks ago, and there were 15 people in my house over the weekend. And
the golf tournament. Tell us about the golf tournament. I got to hear about this.
Well, my dad golfed even on his last day of he had a massive stroke, and he died 3 days after, and he golfed on December cold freezing day with a heater in his cart. That very day, and had a very typical Mick and Carmen day. They'd gone to town to buy a Wii because they thought they'd exercise with it over the winter. And we have snow and stuff here, and it's hard to get out. And they visited friends and had dinner and kissed my mom goodnight. I don't remember a time ever leaving either of my parents with, going to bed or hanging up the phone without hearing "I love you." Right. Just doesn't happen. Never did. Never will. And so the golf tournament was something that his friends wanted to put together, and the golf course where he golfed every day. And there was like 80 of his closest friends there, wow. And family, and people had flown in for his services, friends and family. And, most of my parents' friends have been around for 50 years. So, we had people in our house who I grew up, sleeping in their backyard in our sleeping bags, when we were kids. And so my parents show up for their people, and their people have shown up for them and for us. And so the golf tournament was a rainy, cold day. Everyone was joking that my dad wasn't going to let us have that day without him. But and then they had a lovely potluck, all of my mom's friends put on for him. And he's a huge Raiders fan. And they, did it all Raiders, and there's a Raider flag that's being, that's on the course for him now. And, I don't know if you're a football fan, but the Raiders nearly broke the all-time NFL scoring record just a few days after my dad passed. And so we were getting all kinds of messages from people, and my son, Hunter, he was joking and saying, "Don't think for a second that's Grandpa," because he was terrible at play-by-play. And, so, we just really celebrated him, and, a lot of grown men in tears, and a lot of respect was shown to those men and my dad's when we had his service too, and just some special things that we did. And it was a great day. It was a really good day. And they want to do it every year, and we will.
I love that. I love it. What did your dad do? What was his career?
You know what? I'm so glad you asked me that question, because so my dad was like a carpenter, maybe would have got his contracting license, but he got hired when we lived in Northern California when I was about probably 4th or 5th grade at a local dam for a contractor that they took care of the generators when they needed reservicing every few years, the hydroelectric generators. And he started off as a laborer. And by the end of his career, he was just the guy they had to have on site to make sure that everything was going okay. Mm-hmm. He was beyond the foreman. He was beyond the supervisor. He was literally just the guy that had to be on campus. And he was super smart and articulate. And he knew a lot about a lot. He was, my brother said, not everyone liked my dad. He was, he didn't hold back. He didn't care what people thought of him. He was kind. He was considerate. He listened to your opinions, but he certainly had his own. And he cared about the world and the plight of others. And that's what he did for a living. And it changed our lives big time because
really,
the financial part of it, I mean, he was suddenly making so much more money, but he had to travel because he didn't work for that dam. He worked for whatever contractor was going to the next dam. And that's how we ended up in Washington State, because he was working up and down the Columbia River. There's so many dams on the Columbia River. It goes from Oregon to Canada. And he worked in Pennsylvania and, on the East Coast and different places once my brother and I graduated high school, but he stuck along the west side of the States. And he built a beautiful career. He took really good care of us. Yeah. Took really good care of us.
Wow. And you said your dad was an optimist.
The biggest you'll ever meet. No doubt.
Great.
No doubt.
Love it.
Yeah. He didn't ever choose to stay mad. I told a story at his service about when I was a kid and brought him, he asked for ice water. So where I grew up is 110 degrees sometimes in the summer. And it was a very typical day. It's hot. And it was a very typical Saturday morning. My brother and my dad were out doing yard work, and I was inside cleaning the house with my mom and all that implies in terms of how my brother and I were raised. And he asked me for a glass of ice water. And I remembered this. And I went inside, and it was really hot outside. And I got a big mason jar. I filled it up with water. And then there was just one ice cube in the tray on top. So I just put an ice cube in it. And by the time I walk out to hand it to him, the ice cube's almost melted. And he looks at me and he's mad because this is less than any kind of effort he would expect. And he handed it back to me and he said, go back inside. Actually, didn't even touch it. He said, go back inside and get me a real glass of ice water. So I went back inside and I followed the rules this time. You're supposed to empty the tray into there's no ice maker back then. Empty the tray into the bucket and fill it up for the next person and, put the ice. So I filled that thing up with the whole tray. And I took it back out to him, and he was really mad when I came out. He was mad when I came out the first time. And I came back out there with his full glass of ice water, and I handed it to him, and he just said, thanks, hon. I learned the lesson. No need to be mad at me. Took a big drink, gave it to my brother, kept working. And that story stands out to me as just, he got mad, but he didn't stay mad. And if he got mad, it was because there was something I was supposed to learn from. I mean, he wasn't perfect. We had an argument about the TV at Thanksgiving weekend. We were not perfect, but he was most definitely the perfect dad for me.
I gotcha. No family is perfect.
No.
Are you kidding?
Right.
None. No. But it's to me, it's the accumulative effect of the parenting. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. I just had this conversation with my dad just when I got in to see him for Father's Day. I said, the important thing about fathers, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be there. Yeah. That's it. You just got to be there. You got to show up. Make all the mistakes you want. I don't care. I'm never going to hold that against you. But be there. And I think the dads that do that pass that on to us. And I think we pass that on. And if we don't have children, I think we pass it on to the people around us. We help them become better. And that is something, Lisa, that I can say with about 7 trillion% effect you do.
Yeah.
You pass it on. Now, before I let Stacy ask you something, and Stacy, I'm sorry, but if I forget, because you know
you're
me,
fine.
I walk on the other side of the computer here. I'll forget what I'm saying. How do the people in your life, the significant others in your life, how have they come to grips with the large, looming memories? How have you been able to work in a full-fledged loving relationship? This is something I am fascinated with. And if this has gone too far, you don't have to.
No, are you talking about my significant other? Like, my relationship with Ned? Well, I mean, there's just no other way. And here's the thing. My significant other, Ned, he lost his dad when he was 3, and Hunter lost his dad when he was 5. And so there's all different ways a mom can go about it, and how she can live her life, and how she goes about raising that child. And I think from what he tells and what he shows, he has nothing but respect for all of it. So I just couldn't be with anyone who got hung up on that. That would never work. And so, and you might notice that when I share things about Wesley, I'm trying to make sure somebody becomes an organ donor. I'm trying to honor him as the father of my son. I'm trying to make sure that he's part of the conversation. There's that quote, I can't remember his first name, Brown, and he says, "So long as you speak their name, they shall never die."
Yeah.
How would I be serving anyone in my life if I weren't able or comfortable talking about my son's father? It's just not an option. So I think he has a healthy respect for it, and it's absolutely never been one single issue in our relationship. So.
Lisa, I want to go one step further with this. And if I cross over a line saying, sorry, Michael, goodbye. So here's the thing. Where does this conversation, because I think there's other people in your shoes right now that are going through that, and that potentially could be going through it. When does this come up on a date? When you're starting to date again? When does this come up and you say, okay, listen, I had this previous life and here's the circumstances. It's kind of a little rare. It's odd. It's even freaky. But to be part of my life, you must accept this. How did you bring this up?
Well, we met on Match.com, and when you check the box, single, divorced, whatever, I checked widow. So from the start, it's like,
wow. See, I don't even think about that.
Right.
Yeah,
I think it's 1985 in my mind. You got to go up to somebody and say, "Hey, what's your sign? What's your favorite color?" You know,
before him that we met like normal. Not normal. I mean, it's pretty normal to meet online now, but we met just in passing, and it comes up just as soon as I see he had 2 kids and he was divorced. It comes up because it's just now
part of it.
The layers have to unpack, right? You're around Hunter and me more. You can't be around Hunter and not think, this kid has been through some stuff and he's turned out great, and whatever she's done is working. And it's not just me. And I tell Hunter that all the time. I'm surrounded by, high functioning people, so if I've had people in my life who don't get it, and they're just not in my life anymore.
Right.
That's okay.
So if I'm understanding you, there is an arena built for this circumstance. So you're entering, like, checking the box. You see, I like that. Or before you go any further, you're aware that there is conditions here to understand.
Well, I will say that I met Wesley when I was 8 years old.
Right. And yeah.
I mean, I remember what he was wearing. I knew he'd be important to my life. I didn't know we'd get married and go through cancer and have our son despite the risk of infertility. I mean, there's all these layers to this, but Wesley being part of my life, even to this day, is like the color of my eyes. It's just part of who I am.
Right.
And I like who I am, and the people who surround themselves around me and that I surround myself around, I think like who I am, or they wouldn't be here. And there's just no way of tossing that aside. And so it's just like you, Mike, I mean, or Stacy, or anything. I mean, if you think about all the things I learned about you in The Pretender, what's the biggest thing that you could take away from who you are? Just think of the biggest thing. You never saw the movie Rocky. Yeah. Who are you? I mean, take away Wesley. Who am I? I don't even have my kid. I can't imagine that life. Right. So it's just part of who I am. And it's not every minute of every day. But it's as much a part of me as, you know, the years that my significant other spent, you know, before me. So it's all good. It's all good.
Stacy, when someone like Lisa is on the show and they open up and they're vulnerable, I tend to think whatever issues I have are nothing, because I look at
they are, you know.
Not really.
We've all got our stuff. We've all got our stuff.
We all unpack. I get that. But you know, some people have Louis Vuitton and some people have Walmart luggage. I got Walmart luggage. Okay, Stacy, what do you think about where we're talking and what's on your mind?
Well, to build off what you're saying, the emotional intelligence here is not something that all of us have. And Lisa, you have one of the highest degrees of emotional intelligence I've ever had the privilege of listening to. I think a lot of that does come from your parents and the way they raised you, the way they spoke with you. Dad was firm but fair. As you're talking about your dad, your words are my words about my dad. They sounded like very similar people.
I'm so happy for you both to have that. You know?
Thank you. Yeah. Great dads. And, you know, I think the three of us are blessed in that way. And I just wish the world had dads like our three dads. There'd be less dysfunction in the world. But also the level of integrity that you insist in your life. And you said, who I surround myself with. We are who we keep company with. And you have insisted on a level of integrity from those, your family, from friends, personal relationships. And that's what shapes your life. And you've insisted on, this is who I am, take it or leave it. And we all need to own ourselves to that degree, to say, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to talk about. This is what I'm going to memorialize. And I love you. And if you can't take it, I wish you well. You know, like you are an example to our listeners to say it's okay to stand up for yourself that firmly, the way your dad taught you to do. I mean, you're oozing, that alone oozes the lessons he taught you, how he formed you, how he reared you to be. And so I just that whole last segment alone, everything you just said it makes him smile, you know, because that's what he would want you to have, that strength to insist on these things. And you're a sweetheart. And I've always been inspired by you.
You know, I'm not super good at it all the time. And I want to be accepted just like everybody. Right. And I've conformed plenty of times in plenty of ways. And, you know, I give probably people the benefit of the doubt a little more often than I should, or something like that. You know, you just want people to win or figure it out. But I just think that we definitely, you're right, Stacy, we are who we surround ourselves with. And, you know, that I can tell you, with each loss and with each difficult thing, that list gets tighter and tighter.
Yep.
I've got so much less patience, tolerance, space in my mind for I just can't. There's some people I just can't anymore. And okay, I'm good with that. Like, I'm not going to call them up and say, you're out of my life, but you know, you just phase people out, or they phase you out. People phase me out. It happens. For sure. It happens. But yeah. And I mean, as far as like Ned goes, his birthday's today. He's not feeling any lack of love from me, you know?
Happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday, Ned. That's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, you know, you just got to take care of your people. And I think if you're taking good care of your people, then, you know, I mean, I just think that people appreciate that about you, that you, I don't think they're looking for a way out of it. You know?
Yeah.
Stacy, before we let Lisa out of here, what else you got for her? Did we miss anything? Because I know you and I were going over what we wanted to talk to her about. What did we miss?
I wanted you, if you don't mind, did you want to talk about your book that you have?
Oh, Big Shoes?
Yeah.
Sure. Goodness, it's been out for a while, but it's had a it's got a lot of life still. I'm so happy about that. It's called Big Shoes, and I wrote it 7 years after Wesley died. So in 2011, and so it's based on the 7 years after he died, and it's based on his year-long illness in the 7 years after he died. And you know, I think I originally started writing it because it's my second book, and I started writing it thinking, you know, let me make sure that the story is clear for Hunter later, because he was only 5 when his dad passed. And the truth is, I could just stick it in a drawer and save it for him. But I thought there was some stuff in there that might help other people. And at the same time, I founded the Don't Wait Project and raised seed money in our community to do that with trademarks and all the things that go with starting a nonprofit that's, you know, going to last a long time. And it's still going strong. This is our 13th year for the Don't Wait Project. And that's how the tours happen, that our local Town Toyota sponsored, and then Toyota, the big corporation, matched their budget. That's how I got to meet you, Mike, in Philadelphia, and meet so many other people along the road. So, you know, I just gave a talk recently to high schoolers, and, you know, they're about to graduate. And I really like talking to seniors in high school and seniors in college, because I wanted to grow up and be an author. That's it. Just wanted to write books. And my first book came out when Wesley and I were married, and I got a nice advance, but, you know, I didn't make much money off the book. That wasn't really the point. And I said that to someone, you know, if it just helps people. And she challenged me on it. She said, really? You'd go through all that just in case it might help people? And I said, yeah, I think so. Because Wesley was paying the mortgage. It didn't matter if it failed or succeeded. And then when he passed away, wow, if I had only wanted to be an author, Hunter and I would have starved. But there's so much activity. That's what I say to people. There's probably some aspiring writers listening, especially if they're Sylvester Stallone fans. And you've written your book too, Mike. And so what I always say is, you know, you just start writing, right? You just start writing and you try to have a discipline about it. But there's so much that surrounds the activity around a book that comes from your life, because I get paid to stand on a stage and talk. And that's where the big ticket is, right? That's where the money is. But I sign books in the back of the room. And what I ended up doing was I donate all the money from Big Shoes to the Don't Wait Project, always have. Because I wanted to challenge myself the way that person challenged me when my first book came out, and say, yeah, I really am just doing this to help people. If I don't make a dime, I'm still going to write this book. And so I've always given that money to the Don't Wait Project. But it doesn't mean that the book didn't succeed in other ways of helping me earn a living. So if you are wanting to be an author, most definitely become an author, but understand that's a business, and there might need to be a business surrounding that, unless you're John Grisham or Brene Brown or something like that, which I'm not. So, you know, so there's just, you know, I was thinking about you last night, Mike, with The Pretender, and that people can just go on a streaming site and watch this. And people don't know what it takes to get that sort of thing done. And so there's all these ways we can communicate our story. And you don't have to have a film or a book. Like I said, you don't have to stand on a TED stage. You can do it in all kinds of ways these days. But be careful, because however you're living your life is your story, and people are seeing it up close. So if you're not taking care of your own little corner of the world, that's on you. Yeah. And, you know, no matter what happens to you, no matter what's come your way, you have an opportunity to help other people. And you can do that in really small ways. It doesn't have to be on paper or on film. Now, Sylvester Stallone, our hero, did it in a really big way. And by the way, may I say something to the two of you that is prompted? I am so grateful for the messages I've received from Sylvester Stallone because of the platform that you've shared with me. Because I know some things. I know that, you know, he knows some things about me and the work I've done and what he means to me. And that's in direct relationship to you specifically, Mike, and when I was in Philadelphia. So thank you for that, because for these little tiny bits of seconds, you know, I know that he knows what he means to me. Now there's people, millions of people all over the world that feel that way about him. And hopefully some of them have had that same kind of validation. But I would not have had it to the degree that I did if I hadn't met you, Mike, in Philadelphia. So thank you for that.
Lisa, you're extremely welcome. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because it is a domino effect. I talk about this with Stacy a lot. I talk about what I'm going to say in a moment on my tours. Anyone who knows me, they know. I just told Stacy this before the podcast. You know, Stacy is like the queen of this podcast. She really is.
For sure she is.
And had Stacy not come to me, and because after the first failed podcast I had done with another guy, we just didn't mesh. He wasn't a bad guy. We just didn't have the same personalities, the same aligned interests. And I said, okay, no more podcasts. Mike is not a podcast guy. And Stacy came to me with this beautiful, brilliant idea. And I thought, yes, that's what I want to do. Okay. But I knew Stacy because we had interviewed her on that first one, but I didn't know her. I don't know her like I know her now. And so again, I put my trust out there. I give her the benefit of the doubt, like you had just mentioned a few moments ago. And Stacy has never let me down. So because she came to me, you and I connected. Your story gets told, the clip gets put out there. Sly followed me, then follows the podcast, and boom, there is a connection. And there is this beautiful domino effect that happens in this Rocky bubble. And I've seen it happen not just with us, but with other people as well. And it's beautiful. There's an alignment. I don't know. I'm not a guy who believes in the alignment of stars and the Big Dipper and all those things. I know Sly is big into that, not me. But there is an alignment in life. And I don't know if it's The Secret, you know, the book. If you believe it, you put out positive vibes and positive vibes. Could you imagine, Stacy, if you and I were two of the biggest assholes in the world? Nobody would watch this podcast. Oh God, they're jerks. I'm not gonna watch that. We wouldn't get someone like Lisa here.
That's true.
No way.
Not a second time, that's for sure.
Okay, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I had another big point I was going on, but whatever. That's the majority of what I was saying, is that there's this meshing that comes together with these Rocky fans that we all, you know, Rocky fans are hanging out just to hear each other's stories, to hear each other's wisdom, learned knowledge, and that is something that I look forward, Lisa, with yours and putting this out there on Thursday night so people can hear. Maybe they are in your shoes and they've not said anything to anyone, and they say, oh my God, there's other people that are going through this. Stace, what do you think?
I love the way you hold yourself accountable to what you preach. You're making yourself walk the walk. You're like, I have to come on here and be vulnerable. I love that. That's hard to do. You know, we're very good at passing out advice to lots of people. And then you're like, okay, I got to take my own advice. I got to do it for me, make myself do the things that I pass along to other people. And you're doing that today.
Space. It's a safe space, right? And Mike, just to go back for 1 second, you know, you ask everyone, or I don't know, you know, you ask most people.
Yeah.
If you had 30 seconds.
Everybody, yes.
Yeah, you ask us if we had 30 seconds and an elevator was Stallone. You asked me that when we were standing in the graveyard, and I had a cinematographer there with me because we were on this project, and he filmed it. And then I put together this little, you know, piece about it, and that's what you shared. So technically, although I wasn't in the elevator, I got to say my 30 seconds to Sly.
Yes.
You did.
That's one of the things he responded to. So, I mean, I'd love an elevator ride with Stallone. Like I told you, I'd ask him for a cup of coffee or, whatever, depending on the time of day, for a beverage to keep trying to talk to him. But if you just get 30 seconds,
you hit all the buttons on the elevator. You go down and you hit them all. You rake them.
The fire button.
Yes, exactly.
But I just think that's, that's why, as an example, just the integrity that you all have and the way that you've helped people. And even if they don't connect directly to Stallone, you've helped them connect with you all. And it's this gateway, your gatekeepers to that in a really good way, in a positive way. And so I'm not the only one, I'm sure, who feels that way. So I'm just thanking you on behalf of the other people who feel that way, for giving us an opportunity to have a voice about Stallone, about Rocky, and to get to come here and talk about my dad. It seemed like the right place to do it. So, yeah.
I think that's what Stacey and I agree on. We agree on quite a lot, but we agree on having a safe place for people to come. And should you feel like you would like to be vulnerable, put yourself in that position, your heart is cradled in our hand. You're good. And the people that watch you, people are gonna, I guarantee it, right now in the chat, you're gonna see the heart. You're gonna see people loving you and understanding and accepting and just and that's what I wanted. That's what I got from this character. That's what Stacey got from this character, and that's what I just want to put out. What we can do, Stacey. Before I ask Lisa one simple little tiny question, what else do you have for her?
Just thank you for being so transparent and so honest. And it's hard to talk about these things, and you're out here doing it. And we're facing losing our parents. All of us in the Gen X world, we're having aging parents. Both my parents are aging and facing hard decisions right now. And you're an example of how to move through that, pain and how to shine, how to thrive, and how to make positive from it. And you always make me smile. You're a sweetheart. And I appreciate you coming back on.
Thank you.
Lisa, I've just built a time travel machine. I'm very adept at this. And I've invited you to step in. And you go back to your 20-year-old self. What do you say to yourself?
Oh, goodness, Mike. I wrote something once on a post telling myself that exact answer. Can I pull it up?
Go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just so I can.
I want this to be the best moment for you answer-wise. Absolutely.
Okay. I actually said if I was my 24-year-old self.
Beautiful.
Do you want me to just read it?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It was my 24 years of survivorship and just a couple months before my 49th birthday. So I'm 52 now. So it was a couple of years back. But I said, if I could talk to my 24-year-old self, I would tell her to let go of fear of dying young, fear of infertility, fear of living in fear for the rest of her life. I would tell her that the biopsy scar on her right collarbone that made her cry because she thought it would always be a reminder would soon fade, barely visible within less than a year. And I would tell her that the same body that had created something as horrible as cancer would heal and create a miraculous human life. And before she even hears her son's heartbeat, motherhood will become her greatest joy and continuous lesson in gratitude. Motherhood will be a source of strength and purpose that will bless her life beyond measure. I wouldn't tell her about the unimaginable loss ahead because nothing could ever prepare her more than the years she will spend not knowing. Instead, I will tell her to always love big, write whether she's happy or sad and feels like it or not, focus on the blessings, celebrate the good stuff as it comes, always, always know she's here for a reason, and storytelling is her gift, so give it in abundance. That's what I'd tell her.
That's perfect.
Wow.
So 24, not 20, but pretty close. Pretty
Yes.
close.
It's okay. It's in that first half of the 20s. That is my whole goal, is thinking when you can go back, because that's
The years we have absolutely no clue.
right. Exactly. That's the end of the years we have no clue, because you start moving into the second half of your 20s. Most of us start getting a clue as to I'm not going, that didn't work, I don't like that, and that's not for me. So you start to understand that, and that is an amazing, beautiful answer. But
that was beautiful. Yeah.
listen, I don't want to put you on the spot, Lisa, but
You got another one for me?
no. My point is, I didn't expect anything less from you. Like what you said is what I expected from you,
Right.
and I don't know if that's kind of I don't know if that is good or a bad thing, because thanks, Mike. But that's because I kind of have gotten to know you over the years, and I know your story. And so I don't know, there's a level, like here's the average human. Then here's like a couple of people that have learned. And then here's like me. And then like here's Stacy. Right. And then there's Lisa.
There's Lisa. Yeah.
So
not true. But I will say this. I have that answer because I've given it thought, right? And if you haven't given it thought, then you might ought to think about that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I would rather so anyone watching now, if you're going to come on the podcast, and because I ask 2 questions at the end of everything, it's that one, and it's the in the elevator with Stallone thing. So if you need to take your time, first of all, come to the podcast with the answer. But if you don't have the answer, that's okay. Take your time during the podcast, because Stacy can edit it. Lisa, you are one of my favorite people on this goddamn planet. I adore you. I do.
Ditto.
I adore you.
Ditto.
Thank you for answering my text. Thank you for answering my voicemails. And thank you for picking up the phone when I call you. Thank you, my friend.
100%. Thank you both for having me. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And just thank you.
Lisa, until we see you a third time, keep punching.
Keep punching. Bye-bye.
Bye, buddy.
Oh.
Well, what do you say?
I know. She wears it.
Yeah.
She does it. And I know she said, "Oh, I'm not perfect every day." None of us are.
No, Jesus.
But she really holds herself accountable to her message. And she puts a big message out there, a very positive message out there. And she tries to live that.
She does.
Very genuinely. And you can see that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to just sit back and reflect on this. It's a good one. You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're out of here.
We are.
We're done. Stacy, where can people find you?
I'm at Had Me at Yo on Instagram, as well as the Rocky Files, and on Facebook at the Rocky Files Podcast. And Michael, what about you?
Stacy, a few years ago, I lost my job. It was 2008.
Yeah.
I had nothing going for it. I just had to put my dog buckets down, and things weren't good. So I decided to take 2 years and write a little book called Cue the Rocky Music. Okay? You can find that anywhere books are sold. There you go. Cue the Rocky Music. And all that stuff right there are all things that are in the book, from the books to the Superman stuff to the Polaroid. What are we going to Polaroid together? And then there's a little movie a little documentary by the great director Jim Toscano called The Pretender. There it is. The Dream is Real. It's everywhere where movies can be downloaded, streamed, except Netflix, because Netflix are idiots. And you can find me at the Yo Philly Film Tour at Instagram. And you can also go over to a TikTok, the Yo Philly Film Tour. I cannot wait to talk to you next week, my friend.
You too. Have a good week.
Yeah, you too. And until I see you again, keep
punching.